be the best time to bet on yourself if you have a vision, a thought that you want to start a business. Starting a business is not for everyone, and I would say that. We're also going to address that as well. But if you have ever thought about, have an idea, I don't have time to execute, so I'm working a full-time job, or I don't have time to execute because I'm a caretaker, whatever it is. If you have some time right now, I think now might be a good time, so we're going to talk about that. So if you've seen any headlines like this, it's really important to know that these headlines are not going to stop anytime soon. Whether it is layoffs that are happening due to AI, or it is restructuring, which is the way that I like to see it. Restructuring is essentially companies saying we want to do the same amount of work with less people. Doesn't mean that they're going to increase your pay, but they're going to do layoffs. And so if things like this are kind of keeping you up at night, you may want to pay attention. We also see headlines like this. Recruiters saying that we have 300 people applying for the same role. I've seen even up to 1,000 people applying for the same role, probably even more. So the point is that if headlines like this are keeping you up, it's a good thing because that means that you're paying attention. And best believe I talk to people every single day. I do lives on TikTok every day at 4 p.m. Central, about 200 people. There are a lot of people that are not paying attention to what's going on. Paying attention is not easy, but it's important. So the biggest question is, what are you going to do about it? So what are you going to do about it? This is a question that Joe Madison used to pose on his radio show. Joe Madison was a civil rights activist, the former executive director of the NAACP, as we say here on Juneteenth. It's important to acknowledge. And also a radio Hall of Famer. And he was steeped in civil rights activism, but he would always ask us the question, what are you going to do about it? Don't wait for your politician. Don't wait for someone around you that you think has more power. What are you going to do about it? And so in this moment, when we find ourselves, a lot of us asking a question about what is next, sometimes it's not about what somebody can give you as much as it is about what you can actually do for yourself. So what are you going to do about it? So like I say, if headlines like this have been making you uneasy, that means you're paying attention. And I keep saying it because I can't underscore how many people are not paying attention. We're not going to talk too much about AI in this talk, but I talk a lot about that. A lot of people are not paying attention about what's going on with AI. But they will. And at that point, it might be too late. So we're going to talk about what to do with that feeling. But before that, I'm Ashley. I am an award-winning UX designer. I'm also a UX bootcamp founder. I hear you talk about boot camps. I've been running my boot camp since 2019. My students have landed everywhere from Amazon Games to Meta to startups everywhere. And I'm also a content creator. So you may see me online talking about anything from artificial intelligence to my outfit. But I too have asked myself the same question, what am I going to do about it? So there are 4 ways that you can get in front of it, 4 ways that we're going to talk about today. There are a multitude of ways. We're going to talk about starting that business. There's some other ways that we're going to talk about as well, but we're really going to focus on those of you who have the idea of wanting to start a business. So for me, my journey starts a little bit before 2015, but in 2015, I was laid off I experienced my first layoff, I would say. And it was the moment that I realized that the rug could be pulled from underneath me. And for anyone who has ever been through something like that, you know what that feeling is like. I was still living with my parents. I didn't have a mortgage, but I still felt the rug being pulled from underneath me because I realized that life was real at that point and that there was something that somebody could take from me. And I never wanted to be in a position again where someone could take something from me. So my business journey actually started in 2013. I created my first company, which was called Grecian Garb. It was a sorority and fraternity apparel company. And that was my first business. That was my first introduction into what it was like to be a business owner, what it was like to ship physical products, what it was like to handle customer service and returns and just really be a business owner. In 2015, I got laid off. And that was when I really started aggressively saving. I can't underscore that enough. I was fortunate to land a job right away, so I had a severance that I was saving and a paycheck that I was actually using to live. But I started aggressively saving, and then that led into investing. In 2019, I founded my UX bootcamp. And that is when I really realized how important it was to have something for me. My group apparel company was good. It was a good first introduction, but it wasn't money that I could actually live off of. It was experience, and it was really good experience. But in 2019 is when I said I need to do something more. I need a product that can kind of run itself, a high ticket item that, you know, can sustain me if need be, and maybe something that one day I can do full time. In 2025, I actually started monetizing my content. I'll take you back to 2012, which was actually when I started creating content. Before pitching brands was really a thing, I like to say that I have been consistently inconsistent at content creation up until a few years ago. But before, you know, people were getting PR packages, I was just reaching out to brands and saying, hey, I like this shirt. And they would say, okay, can you wear it on your Facebook? And that's how that started. And so in 2025, I started actually making money from content creation. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was something. It was that thing that told me if I went harder, then that money that was small could turn into something that may be a little bit bigger. And then in 2026, I found myself in a position where I debated whether or not I was going to find another corporate job or if I was going to be obedient and do the thing that I know I needed to do, which was to run my business full time and be a full-time content creator. And so that's what I did. The biggest learning lesson or the biggest thing that I want to say to anyone who wants to start something full time is that more than likely there's some fear that's going on. And I relate to that. I'm very in touch with those feelings. And that is really what took me so long to make the leap. I was comfortable. It's comfortable. It's nice getting a paycheck. I got paid every month. It was nice. I got investments into my, stock account. It was nice. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I knew that I was just surviving instead of actually living. And there's a difference. So again, getting laid off taught me that no company owed me anything, which is a hard pill to swallow for some people. Because we think that if we do what we're supposed to do, we go to school, we get a job, or we go to school, we study hard, we should get a job. And that is true. But what those headlines that we saw tell us is that if there are not enough jobs, if there are more people than jobs, we got to figure something out. So again, I started aggressively saving 2015, and I kept building these businesses on the side. And one of the things I will say is that, because we're talking about how to build a business, where it started was with research. I'm a UX designer, so one of our core founding principles is research. So if you want to, build a business, you have to do some research first. You don't just actually start doing the thing. You have to start with some research. You have to know who your customers are. And that is when I kind of built this three-pronged playbook, if you want to call it. I think I was on TikTok Live one day and someone was asking me, how could I simplify this process or how could I talk about it? And so, on TikTok Live, we talked for about an hour and 15 minutes, about 200 people. I'm like, first you got to plan, then you got to test it, then you got to go. And I was like, wait a minute, that's actually kind of nice. So we're going to talk about this framework, plan, test, and go. The first thing is plan. This is your idea. This is the idea that you have in your head right now. What is the business? Who is the customer or customers? What do they want? What do they need? What problem are you trying to solve? There's so many of a lot of different things. There are multiple different UX boot camps. What makes mine different? Well, we offer private one-on-one coaching. A lot of boot camps don't do that. And think about what your target audience can benefit from today. A lot of people want to think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, but think about if you were to build the thing right now. It may not be perfect, but if you were to build it, how could they find value today? Get them something today. That's where you want to focus and keep it lightweight. A lot of people want to, again, build the version of themselves or the version of the business that they see on billboards. You may not necessarily be there yet, but you do have something to offer. So what is that thing? What is the smallest version of that thing that still carries a lot of weight? Do it really well, but don't worry about doing it perfect. And then the stuff that I refer to as the other stuff, the boring stuff, the separating your bank accounts, the LLCs, the taxes, finding a good CPA. That's all a part of the planning phase. And this is actually when things become real. Next, you actually need to test it. Now, test it also includes building it. You have to build the thing. What is it? Is it a prototype? Is it a product? Is it a service? Get your first client. Learn how to process payments. Learn how to take payments. Learn how to do returns if you are doing returns. And then iterate on it. Make sure that it's perfect for your clients. Make sure that they have everything that they need. A lot of times we get that first client and we're worried about getting the second one. But did you serve the first one in the way that they need to be served? Do they have everything that they need? Can they fly without you? Check what's working. Iterate. This is also when you start building your social media presence. Get out there, talk to people. And the other thing is that this phase takes time. It's called testing, but it's building and testing, and it takes time. This could take a year or longer. It also just depends on what all you have going on at the time. But if it is taking a long time and you feel something's not working, this is also the time where you have to reassess and say, do I need some help? I've had 2 business coaches, both of them good at different things. I don't know a lot about business. I didn't go to business school. So a lot of what I'm doing in my business, I'm really good at UX. But I'm not necessarily an A+ business owner. I didn't go to business school. So I had to figure out where my resources were. So figure out who you need, get started, figure out who you need, what you need, and keep it moving. And the last step is to go. Now, one of the things that I will say is that when I say this does not necessarily mean go quit your full-time job. The go means do the thing that is next for you. Whatever that thing is looks different to different people. For some people, it may be going out to find investors. To some people, it might be thinking, what do I actually want this business to be? Do I want to sell it? Is this something that I want to pass down to my family? Do I want to go full-time in this business? What is it? And after you figured out what that thing is, then you need to go do it. And again, like I will always say, fear kept me in a spot of not wanting to go until I did. So a lot of people will ask what I would do differently. All of these 3 things really bubble up to fear. I could have just wrote fear. Don't be fearful. And it's easy to say don't be fearful. Sometimes you have to kind of go through different things to get to the point where you're actually ready to go. But that's why you have a framework around what to do at every step and make sure that you're pushing yourself. And I'll push myself. But there was still that fear. And it's personal, I get it. It's personal for everybody. But don't stay too long in that space if you know exactly where you want to be is not where you currently are. Again, starting a business is not for everyone. So if you are thinking about what are the things that I could be doing right now, again, those headlines that we just saw, if those make you feel some type of way, if you try to scroll really fast on your phone so you can act like you didn't see it, because you don't want to think about it, because maybe they are talking about layoffs at your company, but they haven't done them yet. Or maybe they have done them, but you're safe. So maybe you have some survivor's remorse. If you're thinking about, what can I do? I feel like the walls are kind of closing in on me, or I'm not sure. When you have a paycheck, that's a really good time to use it. Start investing. If you've been thinking about it, if you haven't been thinking about it, start investing, whether that's the stock market or maybe that's real estate. Maybe you've been thinking about real estate. Now might be the time to start saving, or maybe talk to a real estate agent so they can understand what the process is. Index funds, there's so many different ways. But I can't underscore enough that when you have the paycheck, that is the time to use it. So maybe a little less Starbucks, maybe a little less whatever it is. Or maybe it's just being disciplined and just putting some money away. Maybe you actually don't have to sacrifice anything. The other thing is consulting. Have you ever thought about it? Do you know what it is? Building a business takes a lot. There are a lot of new skills that you have to develop. Again, I'm a really good UX designer. I'm not really great with taxes. I'm not really great with, maybe the social media part. It's interesting, I'm an influencer, but running the social media for my business, completely different thing. But when you're a consultant, a lot of times you're taking the skills that you already have and you're packaging them or repackaging what you already have. So have you thought about consulting? And this is actually my favorite thing to talk about, because let's say you want to start a business. Let's say you want to start consulting. Let's say you want to start investing. Let's say you want to open up a Chick-fil-A, but you don't know where to start. This kind of doesn't need to be said for the people in this room, but start going to networking events and meeting people in those industries. It's a really, really lightweight way to get started. Start meeting people, having conversations, talking to people, even if you don't have the idea yet, or even if you don't know much on the subject. Maybe you're trying to get promoted. Maybe you're trying to figure out what a promotion looks like. Maybe you want to move outside of your company. Start going to networking events, and not the ones that your company tells you about. Find your own. Ask questions. So I will end with Joe Madison's favorite line, and I should have had some audio because he has some expletives as well that are really nice to hear, but what are you going to do about it? And he was so serious every day when he would get on that radio, and you would feel it. It was palpable. This is someone who, again, it's Juneteenth. When we talk about boycotts, led boycotts in Detroit. He has a book called Radioactive, and it really walks through the blueprint of what a boycott actually is, especially in this time where we hear people saying, well, how do we boycott? Or that wasn't a boycott, or this, he did a hunger strike for, it was recent, a few years before his passing, a hunger strike as someone who was battling cancer. So when he asked this question about what are you going to do about it as we sit here on Juneteenth, really think about what it is that you know needs some change in your life, whether it's business related, career related, or maybe some activism. What are you going to do about it? And then I will just plug my UX Bootcamp, which is Empathize. It's a 16-week UX Bootcamp if anyone is interested in a career in UX design. We take you from beginner to experienced in 16 weeks with private coaching, and that is really what sets us apart. A lot of people ask what sets you apart from other boot camps. It is our private coaching. I don't believe that you can transition into a new career, especially a career in UX design, without private coaching, without someone helping you get there. There's a lot of competition out there, and you have to know what's expected of you, of your portfolio, of your skills. You have to know AI, you have to understand it, you have to be able to illustrate it in your portfolio, and there's a skill set that comes with that. And hiring managers can tell within the first 30 seconds of looking at your portfolio if you're qualified and if you're someone that they want to talk to. So empathize.com if you guys are interested. Now I'll take any questions that you have.
Are your slides available?
Sorry, what was that?
Are your slides available?
No, but I can make them available.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.